The idea behind the trip came from a guy that I know. He bought a car and drove it cross country, and then he donated it when he got to Key West. So we kind of took that idea, his idea, and put it on steroids, and came up with Buttercup Margaret. We had searched for a car for probably 2 months on Craigslist, and finally found the one that we wanted, Buttercup, and we got it. We brought it home, and then they took it to get the title for it, and they said that the title was invalid and some things didn't work out with the title, so we ended up having to take it back. And we actually went and found another car, and we were going to get that car on Monday, and Travis called and said on the Sunday before we were going to get that car that they had got the title worked out for Buttercup and that we could come and pick it up if we still hadn't found a car. And we hadn't, so we went and got Buttercup that day and brought it home, and it was just like bringing a newborn baby home from the hospital. A newborn, adopted 25-year-old baby home from the hospital. We were so excited. And
you know, there's a saying where if you love something, you let it go, and if it comes back to you, it's meant to be. This experience with Buttercup is the epitome of that. It's never happened in my personal life ever, so it's pretty ironic that it happened with a car, but we're so glad that it did.
yes.
So some of y'all may be wondering how Buttercup got its name. So the story behind that, Buttercup, as most of you guys know, is a pale yellow. So when I looked at it, Buttercup instinctively came to mind, right? And so Lindsay was thinking about it. It needed a middle name, right? Like, you know, you need a first name and a middle name. First name, middle name. We already had the first name. So the only other person who had ever owned the car ever was Miss Margaret Clark. And so we thought that we should, you know, pay tribute to Miss Margaret by naming the car after her as well. So that's how Buttercup Margaret got her name.
And it just flies off the tongue. Buttercup Margaret.
Yeah. Man, I miss that girl.
Love that car.
Yeah.
Gosh. We didn't think there was anything wrong with this car. And then it's like as soon as we brought it home, she started falling apart.
Yeah, we figured out there were some things that was wrong with it.
I drove it to meet her in Lebanon. It was fine when I drove it home, and then when I drove it to meet her in Lebanon one day, I started getting, like, all the exhaust fumes were coming inside the car, and I was like high on exhaust fumes by the time I got there. I thought I was gonna be laid out in the back window, like passed out in the car because of the exhaust fumes. So we had to get that taken care of, and then we had, as one of our songs said, replace the tranny. And there was a lot of hills that Buttercup had to climb, so it was a good thing that we replaced the transmission so she could get up those hills. Because there was tons of hills in California and Arizona that she had to...
Yeah, but it was all worth it. I mean, she made it. She ran like a champ. It ran like a
top. And then we had to put a new muffler. Some of the rough terrain and some of probably Lindsay's driving off curbs and such. Jarred the muffler loose, and Jeannie got out to take a picture of a sign one night, and she's like, Lindsay, I'm gonna need you to get out of the car. So I like assume the worst. I'm thinking there's like stuff leaking all under the car. She's like, look, and I'm like, oh no, Butter has something hanging from her underbelly that we need to have taken care of. So we took it the next day, and it could not have been a simpler problem. It was just the muffler. We had to have the muffler repaired. So if you saw that, you saw Butter in more surgery. She already had one surgery. Did we talk about that?
Mm-mm.
When we bought the car, it was solid yellow. But a friend of mine who details cars said that we were looking for a car that was Woodgrain. We actually wanted a Woodgrain station wagon is what we were looking for to take. But and we found one, but it fell through. So he said, if you want it to look Woodgrain, all you'll have to do is buy some contact shelving paper at Home Depot, and I'll put it on there for you. So he covered, to make it look Woodgrain, all it is shelving paper contact shelf paper from
Yeah.
Home Depot.
It
$20.
Costs $20.
Costs $20.
Yeah, $20. So if any of you out there is wanting a little wood grain in your life,
yes,
head down to the Home Depot in Lebanon.
Yep.
Get you a couple of rolls.
Cut it real straight.
Yeah.
Just make sure you cut it real straight. Put it on there, let it bake in the sun. It won't come off. We took it through a car wash, one of those car washes that'll actually
touch your car.
Yes, and it didn't budge. It's on there for life.
Yeah, so if you want a little, butter in your life on your car, that's how you go about doing that.
Okay, so Jeannie and I have been friends since first grade in Miss Ann Crackhead's room. I actually told her that she needed to clean out her desk. She used to take like all her papers and stuff them. It was one of those little wooden desks that had a hole in it. And she just take all her papers and stuff them back in her desk. And so I told her that she needed to clean out her desk, and we've been friends ever since. Sometimes I still tell her she needs to clean out her trunk. Because she does. Because she does.
True statement. Yeah.
So since first grade, we've been best friends.
Right.
It's like, even if we were apart and we were apart in college, but even if we were apart, it's just like when we see each other again, it just picks right back up.
Yeah. I really feel like that's the definition of a true friend, and especially a best friend for as long as we've known each other. It's something that a lot of people don't have, and I feel like it's very rare, and so I'm very blessed to have a friend. To have a friend like this. So what better person than to spend 8 days in a car driving cross country than with your best friend, someone you've known your entire life. So I think it worked out really, really, really well.
Yes, it did. She said when we first started this trip that we were going to sleep in the car. She had no intention of ever sleeping in that car. She had me like scared to death because I'm more of like a Holiday Inn fluffy mattress kind of girl. And she's wanting to like sleep in the car or camp out. No, not me. That was all her. So she had me like scared, but I'm like, okay, this is not going to be your average trip. We're going to get out of the box and do things different. I tried to get her to stay in several Route 66 hotels. She wasn't having none of it.
No.
I even got out at the wagon wheel, which we might have caught bed bugs at the wagon wheel. I'm not sure. I'm pretty sure we might have. But no, she wasn't having it. So.
True statement. Yeah. I was really gung-ho about really camping, but then no, I jumped on the bandwagon of fluffy mattresses with Lindsay.
Yeah. We needed our rest to drive as long as we did every day because we drove like late hours.
We did.
Late hours.
Yeah. Most nights we didn't check into the hotel till about 11 p.m., midnight. And then we would try to get up as early as we could the next morning. So it was literally check in, take a shower, good night, John Boy, good night, Ma, good night, Pa, and then we're lights out.
Yes, dead. And then we would get in Buttercup the next morning, and there was a couple of mornings there, it was like, something died in this car. We have been in here like way too long. There's like dirty shoes or rotten food in here. We cannot smell this bad.
That was more at the end of the trip when we started smelling funky fumes.
Buttercup had the funk towards the end of the trip. Okay, so when we were driving down to St. Louis the first night, we had done a song the night before, Build Me Up Buttercup, and we posted it on Facebook, and people, liked the idea. They thought it was funny. We do stuff like that all the time. Like we sing and change the words to songs. We have always done. We have always done that.
Yes, we have been doing this since elementary school, making up songs, changing the words. Like this is nothing out of the ordinary.
No,
for us.
So we do that all the time. So people seem to like that so much. I said on the way to St. Louis, I told Jeannie, I said we should come up with like a butter radio station, butter and jams, all butter, all jams, all the time. And then I'm like, and then we could say, brought to you by 2 Hot Biscuits, because nothing's better than 2 hot biscuits covered in some butter. And jams. So that's kind of where that idea came from. And then we just started, saying songs that we could, fit. We just changed the words to songs that we thought a lot of people would know and launched our radio station, which seemed to be a hit.
Yeah, absolutely. I think my favorite butter and jams was probably Queen of LA.
Yeah, that one
Although
was
that
good.
it was very complicated and it was very long, and we had a couple of outtakes, a couple of tries to get that, but I think that it worked out really, really, really well.
Yeah, I like that one. I like Butter Goes too. I thought that was a good one.
Oh,
and
yeah.
man, did we hit the high note on that one. Boy, we hit that. I mean, if there's a high note that can be hit, we got it in that song.
Yeah, we really nailed it.
Yeah, we nailed that one.
We really nailed that.
Yeah, that
one.
was probably my favorite one, and it was one of the simpler ones to learn.
Right, and it was a shout out to one of our followers who was a young kid who wanted to see more butter loving off of her mom's phone. So we felt like we needed to do a special, a special song just for her. So that made it a little interesting too.
Butter goes, butter goes. She's not holding back anymore. Butter goes. You'll never stop this board. Here she stands on the open road. And if she breaks down today, her friends are gonna follow her anyway. Now, this is a story all about how we bought a car named Butter and we drove her around. And I'd like to take a minute and I hope you'll stay. I'll tell you how Butter became the queen of LA.
In a town close to Crossville, born and raised with a woman named Margaret. She spent most of her days going out, maxing, relaxing, and cruising, being taken care of so she could stay cool.
Until a couple of girls who were up for some fun decided to take the car on a cross-country run. They got in one yellow car and they got their kicks. They said, we're taking Butter cruising down Route 66. Build us up, Buttercup, baby, don't you let us down. Or leave us stranded round town. And worst of all, you'll break down and stall, baby, on a rainy day. Or we can't call AAA. We need you more than anyone, darling. You know you're our love from the start. So build us up, Buttercup, don't break our hearts.
All right, so my favorite part of the trip had to be the Grand Canyon. There has to be more adjectives to describe that place other than just grand. I mean, it was magnificent. And we went in on the west entrance, is that what it's called? The west entrance, and we wanted to get Buttercup's picture by the Grand Canyon, but you can't. It turns out when we got there, you couldn't actually drive the car up to it. So our first experience in seeing any part of the Grand Canyon was through the helicopter ride, and Jeannie filmed that with her phone, and I mean, it just takes your breath away. It was amazing. So I mean, she captured that really well with her phone. So of both of us crying like babies. So I made her I was like, cut it off. I'm an ugly crier. Do not get me on video crying.
But it's so breathtaking that you just can't help but just be amazed that a river and that the Lord created that is just amazing. So that was a genuine reaction and a genuine experience to our first sight of the Grand Canyon. It was really, really cool. Really cool.
Yes.
I would also agree with Lindsay that was a really cool experience. For me, one of the coolest experiences was on our way back from Santa Fe. We were driving down Route 66 and we come around this corner and there were two young kids who were selling cupcakes and homemade lemonade and homemade jams from a cart that was pulled by a donkey. You don't really see that here, and so it just caught me off guard. So we ran around the corner and saw it, busted a U-turn to come back to make sure that we could, spread the butter love to those young kids. So that was a really cool experience for me. Their names were Miguel and David, and they were also best friends. One was going into 6th grade, one was going into the 3rd grade, so it was really cool to be able to meet them and spread the butter love and be able to give back to them as well. So That was my favorite
it's
part.
just amazing how many people would see, we put the signs in the back, how many people would see the signs in the back and, you know, message us or tell us, you know, that we had their support, or that they really liked the page, or they liked what we were doing, or, you know, it was just amazing. It was like everybody was so supportive and so nice. And a cool thing that we forgot to mention, the clock on Buttercup, we could never get the clock to set. It was always like 2 hours behind, right? Exactly 2 hours behind here. And every time we would try to set it, like it wouldn't work at all. I don't know if there's a chip missing or whatever. But when we got to California, the time set on the car, the time that will not change, was perfect, was California time. So that was another
Yeah,
cool little...
it was like that car was meant to be our road trip car. I mean, that was one example of where just everything fell into place the way that it was supposed to, and this was the car for us. So, yeah, that was pretty cool.
Butter love.
Okay, so most of you are probably wondering how we picked the charity that we chose. Funny story. We knew that we were going to buy this car, donate it. So I literally just Googled women and children's shelters in Los Angeles and hit enter. And there was a couple, well, there was more than a couple that popped up, but the second one that popped up said Los Angeles House of Ruth. And I have an aunt named Ruth Manning. We call her Aunt Rudy. She's like my second mom. So I felt like that was another reason that we should choose that particular shelter. The actual shelter, it's for homeless and battered women and children. We didn't realize that it was for battered women until we got there and learned some more information from the director and some of the employees that worked there. But that's the reason, or that's how we chose that particular charity. We are creating some t-shirts with the help of Artwares in Carthage that we're going to sell, and 100% of the proceeds will go back to that particular shelter. So we want to make sure that we, you know, create awareness and put some PR, if you would say, around that. That should be coming out within the next couple of weeks. So we're pretty excited about that. We appreciate Artwares for, you know, being charitable and coming to us to want to offer that. Also, you know, Buttercup Margaret has over 900 friends on Facebook. I am a human and I only have 200 friends on Facebook, which is pretty sad that an automobile has more friends than I do on Facebook. But anyway, we're also thinking if, you know, each person, if they could only donate $1 to that particular charity, then that's almost $1,000 that they could, you know, really benefit from. So, you know, we're asking if you guys wanted to continue to spread the butter love. That would be an awesome way, just by giving 4 quarters to, you know, to the charity. We're going to put some more information about the particular charity, the Facebook page, the internet link, the website, on Buttercup Margaret's Facebook page, and also it'll be attached at the end of this webcast as well. So a couple of the reason that we chose Route 66, I don't know if there really was a reason. Lindsay and I had talked about, you know, what route are we going to take. The first 2 months we were just focused on finding a car, right? You have to have a car to go on a road trip. So, you know, the main focus was finding a car. So once we found the car, then we had to decide, well, how are we going to get to California? We knew that we didn't want to drive up the interstate on I-40. Like, anybody can do that. We wanted it to be an experience. We wanted it to take a little while longer, so we decided we're going to go Route 66. Everybody talks about it. Everybody says it's a good time, so that's how we decided on the route we were going to take. I think we ended up going through 9 states, including Kentucky, which isn't part of Route 66, but of course we're in Tennessee, so we had to make it to, we started in St. Louis, so we had to make it to St. Louis. So while we were in St. Louis, we got to visit the Arch. We had a picture of Buttercup driving underneath it. There was a video of you know, us spreading the butter love in St. Louis near the Arch. We also made sure to stop and take pictures at every state line that we crossed. That was something that we decided we wanted to do pretty much early on in our journey. So we, you know, at least we made a point, regardless if it was at 2 o'clock in the morning or if it was 6 o'clock in the morning, we always were cognizant of where those state signs were so that we could snap a picture. Another stop along the way was in Jay, Oklahoma. Lindsay has, or we have a friend who has some family there who saw our journey online and decided that she wanted to welcome us to Jay, Oklahoma, which is the huckleberry capital of the world.
And she had a pet rooster.
Yeah. So we
a big tall rooster outside. So she had us a rooster.
Yeah. So we made sure to go down there and visit with them, and they had us some goodie baskets and some, you know, some props. One of the main props that you'll see in a lot of our pictures is the big yellow sign that said "Welcome Buttercup." She actually had that sign waiting for us underneath the rooster as we pulled in to meet them. So we thought this would be great to have at, you know, to have at every state sign to let the state welcome our blessed Buttercup into their state. So that was a really good prop that we were able to use, you know, for the majority of our trip.
Route 66 is hard to follow. It
isn't clearly marked.
It is not marked, and we turned around a lot, like a whole lot.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah. Good.
To try to follow the map, because if you put it in your GPS, it automatically wants to take you to the interstate, and we couldn't figure out how to make it just take us strictly Route 66. So we stopped a lot of places and asked directions, and we turned around a lot, and we were on some off roads and roads that had grass growing in them, but it was part of the historic route that I guess nobody takes anymore, but us do.
Right.
Us three.
Another part of our trip that we did not talk about, we actually lost our map probably halfway through the trip, and it was a little...
In New Mexico.
Yeah, it was a little nerve-wracking. It was a little stressful, but, you know, we were just like, whatever, we're going to make our way. And we stopped at a rest stop or a truck stop on the way, and lo and behold, they had the exact same map. I had gotten this map from AAA, so I thought that it was like a AAA issued map, and only they had them, but they didn't. Like we went to a truck stop, yeah, and we picked up two just in case we lost the other one. We would have a backup, right? So, but then, you know, it worked out, and coincidentally, after we bought the new map, the casino was right down the street, so we went and gambled a little bit. We each went in with $10. I came out with 20. So
I came out with 5.
I was the big winner.
She fared better than me.
I was the big winner that night, but it ended up being a really, really fun night. I mean, it started out a little stressful, but it ended up being a really, really fun night. Yeah. So another part of our trip of the plan was to start out with a few bumper stickers that we thought were pretty hilarious, but along the way at each stop was to pick up bumper stickers to kind of document our journey on the outside. So everybody else around us and the person who actually got the car could also, you know, understand where the car had been. So we started out with some pretty funny ones. A couple in particular, honk if anything falls off. It was a pretty funny one.
Yeah, that was a good one.
But then we also had one that was honk if you love squirrels, right? So there were a few times we're driving down the road and people are honking, so we're not sure if something fell off.
Yeah, we'd say, did you hear something fall off? No. Did you hear something fall off? No. Must be a squirrel lover. Gotta be a squirrel lover.
Right, so that was something that we thought was pretty funny and pretty interesting about the trip, and another way to spread the butter love.
Yeah. The bumper stickers were harder to find than what, I guess people don't use them anymore on their cars, so they're harder to find than what we thought they would be. We just can't believe that people watch, find us entertaining, I guess.
I mean, we are pretty funny though. Let's not kid ourselves.
I do have good jokes. I mean, I am the funniest person that I know.
Besides me, other than me.
No, I'm funnier than her. But I just find it fun. I just think that it's so funny that other people will watch us on video.
Yeah. It's pretty funny.
Yeah.
It's pretty amazing.
Yes. And everybody has been so supportive and so nice. It's just, it's humbling, and it's very nice, and I don't know what else.
Yeah, we didn't realize that a trip like this was going to impact or influence as many people as it has. I mean, there's been many comments on Facebook from people saying, "You have made my summer. I'm so glad that you allowed us to follow your journey and your adventure. Thank you so much for showing me places that I will never have the opportunity to see." It's just amazing. It was just a summer road trip between two friends that's turned into something pretty amazing. So we finally made it to California, and we were so impressed that Buttercup made it without a hiccup. She didn't skip a beat. It was amazing, right? So we get there on Wednesday night, and so we have 2 full days. We have all day Thursday and all day Friday before we have to give her away on Saturday. So we decided to actually drive down to San Diego, which was 2 hours south of LA. So we took the Pacific Coast Highway and drove through some pretty cool towns, Oceanside, Del Mar, Laguna Beach, Huntington Beach. So there was, we ended in La Jolla, I think that's how you say it, and got to see the seals down there. We eventually made it to downtown San Diego and had a little Nashville fun, as you've probably seen in one of our videos.
That's our favorite thing to do, is roll the window down and yell random people's names just to see if people wave back. It's hilarious.
You guys should definitely do that.
Everybody
next time
should try that
Nashville.
one. It's hilarious.
Yeah, it really is.
It's a good time. It really is a good time.
Yeah, it really is. So, I mean, we almost made it to Mexico. I mean, I'm serious. San Diego is very close to the Mexican border. Like, we could have went to Tijuana and came back, but we decided not to do that. So then that was Thursday that we drove to San Diego. And then Friday, as most of you guys saw, we took a trapeze lesson on the Santa Monica Pier, which was really, really fun.
Yeah, that was awesome.
We rode some tandem bikes. We took Buttercup to the landmarks of LA, so the Hollywood sign, and driving her down Rodeo Drive, the Sunset Strip.
had to drive down Rodeo Drive. She was out trying to take the picture. I have never been honked at more times in my life. They have no left arrows to turn. So the people behind you want me to turn, and they're driving like Maseratis, which when they push the gas, their Maserati is going to shoot in front of this traffic. I'm driving an '89 Crown Victoria. When I push the gas, I don't know if it's going to go or not. So I had to be like overly cautious. So people are like yelling at me, honking at me like, "Go, go." I'm like, "Do you not see this traffic coming in front of me?" And on one of the videos you see, I did pull out in front of a car.
Yeah.
That wasn't the only one, and I ran several red lights. Don't tell the LA police. I'll probably be getting like tickets in the mail. But
we had to get that good shot. We had to catch Butter in the action, and
that horn though, Butter's horn, it's just it's perfect.
Yeah,
there's no
nothing
sound
else
like
it. Yeah, there's nothing like it.
She's got a great horn.
Yeah. So those were our 2 days in LA, and then Saturday came. I tell you what, I was a wreck. I honestly was a wreck the night before, just thinking that we were going to have to drop Buttercup off and drive away from her and fly home. It made my stomach hurt. I was crying. And so we finally get to the shelter to drop her off, and Lindsay and I just sit there and have a moment. We take a moment, and we shed some tears. And we started her up, you know, for the last time, and drove her into the parking lot of the shelter, and we got out, and it hit me. This is it. This is the last time that I'm going to see her, and I lost it. I couldn't talk. I mean, the director was trying to talk to me about the car, and I was like, "Lindsay, you're going to have to speak for me." I lost it.
She took the lady around, she popped the trunk, she takes her around. She's like, "Here's you a full spare tire in the back. It's got a nice set of jumper cables. All the tires are real good. Don't let the outside fool you. It's a really good car. Air blows cold, heat blows hot. I've got you a tire gauge in the glove box." I mean, like, she takes this woman, and the woman's like, okay. Oh, okay.
Yeah, and
She just gets your heart. Buttercup just gets your heart.
she does, and we bought her a special keychain at the Grand Canyon that said Margaret on there because they didn't have one that said Buttercup, but we did find a keychain that said Margaret. And I mean, as I was handing the keys over to the lady, I lost it. I lost it. Like videoing us pulling out of the driveway and leaving her, you can hear me sobbing in the video. Like, I was a wreck. I was a wreck the entire day. It just really, I mean, I know that she is going to a really good family and somebody that needs her and deserves her and can use her way more than we could, but we become attached to her. You know, it was, she was part.
She's special.
Yeah, she was part of the journey. She was the journey for us. So it was a sad day for me.
And me. It was sad.
Yeah.
So we didn't get home until really late on Saturday night. It was like 10:30, and I noticed when I pulled in my road out here, there was a sign that said, "Welcome to Buttercup Lane." And so we posted something when we got home that said, you know, people are still already spreading the butter love. They're spreading the butter love at home. And then Jeannie sends a text or post on Facebook later than that. It was like 11:30 or almost midnight. And she was just getting home, and she said, I also have a sign that says, "Welcome to Buttercup Lane." And then somebody had put, well, I saw a sign at Citizens Bank or something. And so I went out on Sunday, and Sunday afternoon, we found 3 more signs welcoming us home and saying, "Welcome home, Lindsay and Jeannie. Thank you for spreading the butter love." All kinds of just nice, very nice signs. And we have no idea who did it, but we thank you whoever did, because it was very nice of you to keep spreading the butter love.